All right, this will be a trade recap for what are we, Monday, February 9th, 2026. And yeah, kind of a start to another week. Continuing on with one and done and first to trigger. Managed to get both today. Now that for whatever reason, again, kind of volatility that was messing with the premium last week has more or less kind of sorted itself out. Still was a little elevated on Qs, but it seems to be dissipating and we'll probably maybe somewhat back to normal. Be curious to see what happens during the course of the week in case the market does anything wild. I know we have the what was that yearly revisions to job numbers and crap like that, which might throw some noise into the market and volatility. But yeah, I mean overall, pretty simple morning, clean. Um, did encounter one issue. Trying to think of how that went, and we can go over that. But before we do, if you are looking for a high quality coach and mentor to either learn how to day trade or to help you sort out whatever issues you're having, check out this gentleman right here. I am a student of this gentleman. This is Pat Mitchell. He is a professional day trader, though he originally was in blue collar work, and he has been in the markets for a little over a decade now. And he has built up a incredible process and knowledge base when it comes to learning how to day trade. He runs a service called Trick Trades. He has also put together inside of Trick Trades a program called SizeUp, and that's what I do. And it is a structured program for learning how to day trade. You start with a small cash account, and you basically build that up with your education, experience, and screen time to eventually hit different milestones and become a full-time professional day trader. So if you're interested in something like that, great person, probably one of the highest quality coaches when it comes to day trading out there. If not the highest quality, I don't personally know of any other coaches that I can stand by or say that about. And I've been around a few of them in terms of their services, and nothing even comes close to what Pat offers. So if you're looking for a high quality coach, I cannot recommend him enough. And like I said before, you can find him over at tricktrades.com. He also has a YouTube channel on his own where he posts recaps usually daily. If you want to check that out, you can get a little preview of the kind of information he offers and the quality. And that is just a very, very small amount of the knowledge he possesses. But yeah, definitely check him out. It will be worth your time and effort to go through some of his content and judge for yourself. And with that being said, let's get into the charts. Okay, with that out of the way, here is a recording of the live session. I started this one late. As you can see, my entry is already there, and that was a test of this level on Qs. Qs was the main watch. And for those that are maybe viewing this for the first time, daily chart here on the left, 1 minute intraday chart here in the middle, order execution and management here on the right. And yeah, so with that being said, though it looks like some of these guys are still sitting on top. Let's get those out the way. That way everything's accurate. Okay, should be good there. And yeah, so all these levels in blue are developed by Pat the night before, refined the morning of, and then he builds the trade plan for us around that. And that is how we roll at Trick Trades, and it's awesome. It keeps things very straightforward as you're learning this. That way, you're not trying to figure out a million different things at once. So, here is the abbreviated recording, and sorry for the weird camera angle. Had the wrong scene selected, but here we go. So, came in, testing levels that Pat had figured out and marked, dumped in the initial opening, and executed as it was coming down into the main level, which is that order entry right there. So I'll hit play now. Should just be a couple minutes long. You can see I'm checking kind of just where things are. I don't know why I do that. Sometimes I move the mouse around like that. So apologies for that one. Try to catch myself and stop doing that because it's annoying. And then they got that first reaction and sold. Um, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Then just kind of, again, sticking to one and done, that discipline and everything. That's it. Again, it was the first one to trigger, took it. The main issue that I encountered while trading this morning was the lack of a ad to correct my average, which is something I need to work on. This one, while it seems kind of volatile and scary, they should have done at least one as it tested the main level, and potentially a second if it managed to tick the very bottom. But again, identifying these issues is one of those things where it's what we need to do. So I'll go ahead and stop that one there and switch back to main screen. And as you can see, it's one of those things where that trade worked. It worked very well. So here's a still of the execution. Obviously, there was a bit more meat on the bone, but because I didn't take that corrective ad, you have to pay yourself on that first reaction and push. Simple, effective, but when you don't have an additional contracts to clear out of the position, I mean, that is what it is. So obviously a flaw and something that I need to work on myself, but zooming in on here, again, good, solid retracement right back up after it tested this level, the main level. And yeah, pretty simple day in that regard. And it's good, again, when you have these days where you can kind of helps you identify your potential issues. That way you can really work on them. So adding and averaging has always been one of my weaker parts because of adding more size. Obviously, that's more of a potential loss if it goes against you. But it's also one of the reasons why a lot of my scratch trades never ultimately worked out because I would start in the right spot, but because I wouldn't correct when it gave that first reaction, I would always get out, scratch, slightly green, slightly red. And there, again, really wasn't going anywhere and things kind of went sideways. And I really struggled with that to the point where I get frustrated and then try to slam size in, maybe during times when size shouldn't have been used. And then usually that would come back to haunt me in some way, shape, or form. In fact, I can literally show you that right here. So this is account progression for the SizeUp program Pat runs over at Trick Trades. And every time I get frustrated, um, I would actually generally force that size in and then take a loss and a decent loss at that. So every time you like, I know it's a little harder. Let's see if I get a little zoomed in here. So these like losses right here, this is usually me trying to force size in when there was no reason to force size in. It was just me getting frustrated and then trying to figure out, okay, like make yourself use size, get used to using a certain amount of size. But again, when you get when I get like that, it's kind of like a dog after a bone or a dog chasing a car. It's one of those things that's all you focus on. You get that tunnel vision and then it blows up in your face because other things will go out the window, like your discipline and whatnot. So it's one of those things where starting to recognize that, or I've been recognizing that. And this is one of the reasons why I went with one and done to try and sort some of the discipline issues out, um, and help identify other issues. And now that I have, it's one of those things where now this is going to be kind of the focus. Because as you can see, like this is where one and done really started. Again, was playing around, started that process. So 2, 3, 4, 5, So roughly would that been done 9 was today. So in these, so it would have been really the like 28th ish, I believe was the first one, or this week. But as you can see, like it's just consistent. There isn't a whole lot of chop in that. So I'm trying to again see as we do one and done throughout this period what actually happens, because if it works, as we again people have already demonstrated, as Pat has told us, should help smooth out this, and it should go, be more consistent, because you won't be doing impulsive, emotional, undisciplined things that lead to these drawdowns. So that'll definitely be an interesting thing to keep track of, at least for me. But with that being said, that is what, again, my account progress chart looks like. And yeah, I mean, it'll be probably, again, just another typical day in the markets, typical day for us during this week. And we will see where we go from here. And I will catch everyone for the next one tomorrow. Have a good one.